Hello, everybody. My name is Joel Filderman, and welcome to the Dog Trainers Connection. I'm not a dog trainer, but these other people you see here are. We get together, we discuss a topic, we come up with some thoughts, some ideas, and sometimes some answers, but we always have a very interesting discussion. So first off, let me say Happy New Year, dog trainers.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
As well. And that leads me to today's topic. It's a new decade. So what that got me to thinking about was, what's the future look like? And I'd like to do it in two parts. I'd like to do today's part about the future of dog training, and then our next session, I'd like to discuss the future of dog trainers. And I'm going to start it today by telling you that in San Francisco in the SPCA, I don't know whether people have read this, but they just shut down their dog training program. And people are up in arms about it. And the trainers who were there are saying, well, it's because of money. It's because of a law that came in that said that they now have to pay these dog trainers from the SPCA. So therefore, there's going to be much more expenses with the SPCA. They were contractors before, now they're employees, so they would get benefits, taxes, et cetera, et cetera. So what that got me to thinking about was I looked at some other places, and I don't know if I wasn't able to find a lot of them, but I didn't find a lot of SPCAs that had dog training. So what I was thinking about was, okay, so there is a lot of dog training out there, and a lot of it is in these big stores that shall remain nameless, but that's where a lot of people who don't have the resources to go hire you guys go to train their dogs. So are they getting the best that they can get there? And what the real question I have is dog training becoming elitist? Is it only for the rich?
I kind of feel it is.
Okay.
And I've had that problem with myself because I've got other trainers around here who are qualified at the levels I'm qualified at, and they're like, Joyce, you need to chart your work. And I'm like, I don't know what that is. I don't know what that means.
Well, we didn't hear it, Joyce. Joyce, we didn't hear that. You kind of went in and out. Joyce is driving her dog to the vet today, so it's going to be a little bit difficult to hear her. So I didn't hear what you said that they said you have to do.
They were telling me I had to time work. Did you hear that?
You had to what?
Charge what she's worth.
Okay, there you go. Thank you.
Yeah, because of my credentials, my experience, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that prices the people who need me out. So I've had a real battle with myself with how do I offer what I do and keep my colleagues happy and make the money that I'm supposed to make, yet while still servicing the people that I care the most about, which are really the people who love their dogs tremendously but don't have a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm not one of those people who wants to go to Hollywood and make the big bucks training the big people's dogs. I like helping the everyday Joe.
Sure.
So it is. I think there's in many ways it is becoming elitist in that those who are certified and becoming qualified and getting that education are feeling they should charge more. And we're outpacing, of course, the pet stores, which are just hiring people they do their own program with for the most part, and they charge less. So.
And are they necessarily getting the best training from those stores? And what was that?
It's very basic. No, they're not getting anything.
Jeff, are we leaving people who don't have the money behind in dog training?
I don't think it's a money thing.
Okay.
I really don't. It's I care about my dog thing. It's just my experience in life is, I've talked to people on the phone, and as we all do, we try to give freely of our time to answer some preliminary questions while we're trying to, schedule an appointment. And you talk to people, and you kind of decipher what their financial situation is. And I can't tell you how many times that I'm getting nickel and dimed on the phone, and I pull up. We schedule an appointment. I pull up, and I can fit my entire house in their living room. Okay, so
I could go on your back on that. I agree. Yeah.
You know, and you know what? People who have a hard time financially affording a dog trainer, I'll work with them. I always have. I don't think I've ever gotten away from that. I'm better about people taking advantage of me just because I'm kind of a sucker. I don't know if that makes any sense. You know,
I understand. Yeah.
You know, and only because, you know, I really only do care about the dogs. Like I really, you know, and granted it's my living, but you know, I've gotten to where I am because I only care about like the dogs and helping them and improving their lives. Right. So why would I stop doing that? Right now, obviously my career and stuff has, you know, taken other turns and has expanded, but at the core of what I do on a daily basis, it's all about the dogs. So I think people who have that focus in mind for their own pets are willing to invest in the training. You know, and as far as the big box store training, you know, I've seen some really skilled trainers come out of there. Not a lot, but it happens, you know, but I can tell you from a base, you know, from a puppy obedience and a socialization standpoint, you know, if they have a couple of $100 to spend on a 6-week course for their puppy, you know, provided the trainer isn't completely destroying their animals, like they're going to get, at minimum, they're going to get really good quality socialization for their puppy, which I don't know, you can't put a price on that. You know, if the socialization alone, if they have a decent, you know, trainer, you know, as far, you know, I don't charge what I used to, partly because I'm in North Carolina now. You know, when I was up in Jersey, I charged more and I charged by the hour. Down here, I charge less and I charge by the session. And that was just a geographical decision. It doesn't make me feel less than I'm worth, especially because the bulk of what I'm doing now is working with rescues. I don't do as much public service as I used to as well. But you know, I try to over deliver too, and that's where referrals come in. And you know, now with aggression, if I'm working aggression cases, that I have my flat rate and I charge in 15-minute increments. That I'm not negotiable on. I mean, if I'm getting bit, you're paying for it. You know, or you know, as far as dog training and becoming elitist, do you mean as far as dog trainers are concerned, or the clients that we're trying to attract?
I think the clients is more what I'm referring to. Are you eventually only going to be able to have the rich do the dog training? Okay.
Yeah. See, I kind of leaned more towards the dog training as a profession. And, you know, if there's any dog trainers watching, I hate to break the news to you. You're a dog trainer. Okay. You're not a lawyer. You're not a doctor. Okay. That's where, when I hear elitist, that's what I hear. Like,
sure,
dog trainers, we're going to be better than others, and others are going to be better than us, but we're dog trainers. Okay. It's, you know, what are you going to start charging? $500 a session? And, you know, if you can, God bless, good for you.
Right.
That's great. But I think the level of education that, aside from the money that people are charging, you know, the education that some folks, you know, I just tell people go to my website if they want to see my experience and my credentials.
Sure.
I don't like talking about it, but we're just dog trainers. Okay.
Right. I understand.
We're all over the place.
Right.
So if we're out pricing ourselves, you know, and again, geography, right? Manhattan dog trainers charge more than North Carolina dog trainers, and they should. But I don't.
But the interesting thing that I found was that the highest paid dog trainers are in Minnesota. So what does that mean? I don't know. I'm not exactly sure.
Where in Minnesota? Minneapolis?
It didn't say. It
Big
just
city?
said the state with the highest average dog trainers.
Hmm.
New York is second at 40,000, and Minnesota is first at.
Oh, the amount of dog trainers. I thought you meant
No,
the amount
that they're
charging.
paid per year, their average salary.
Oh, okay, okay.
So what does that mean? And Bonnie, let me ask you.
Well,
Go ahead. I'm sorry. You wanted
No.
to say something, or do you want me to ask you something?
no, I was just going to say that I don't know. Jeff, are we just dog trainers? I mean,
Yes, I stay right sized. I know exactly who I am. I don't. I don't pretend to be somebody I'm not.
Yeah, but you also, Reiki, nutrition,
So what?
Well, but Bonnie, the question I was going to ask you is.
Well, that took a lot of time, money, study.
Yes, and I'm
all you're saying.
Average person does not have.
Right, and Bonnie, that was the question I was going to ask you. Is the internet ruining that? Is the fact that people can just say, "Let me go Google and find out how to do what," and they then think that the dog trainer's not worth anything? Is that part of what's going on?
I think that's part of it. Yeah, like YouTube and so forth and things like that. That's part of it. And I think people, what Bonnie's saying is all true, but people are like to Jeff's point, like almost like, who cares? You can get a personal trainer too. They got all these, they may have nutrition and stuff like that. And they tell all the different types of things for how to lift this way, lose weight, gain weight, etc. Just like all of us in dog training, but people don't take it, unless you went to some university or something. You might have a certificate, that you graduated from whatever, but
you know what it is, and maybe the root cause of my opinion. Number one is everybody knows I'm in recovery, right? I'm sober 25 years. So it's important for me to stay right sized in all I do, right? That's a big part of my thought process in this.
Sure.
The other part is what I see in up and coming dog trainers is grandiosity and all this pompous behavior towards other people in our profession.
Correct.
Oh, well,
okay.
That's rampant, totally.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, people out there with your certification from JYZAQ, whatever organizations you think is the best out there, you're still just a dog trainer. Okay.
Steve, are people listening less?
What's that?
I was asking Steve, are people listening less?
That's a good question. I don't know how well they listened in the first place. So,
okay.
Look, it's a tough thing, I mean, I love my job. I respect the profession. It's rough, it's rough. I always kind of felt like I'm going to dictate my fees. And if I get to someone's house and I can see that they're scratching together the money because I charge a lot, and they're scratching the money together to pay me because they want me there, I'm going to give them the discount right there, rather than, when they say, isn't this your number? I'm going to say, well, not for you. It's not. And I'm going to give them a discount if they're old or they are, so they seem to have some kind of.
But how many to go to Jeff's point, how many of the newer trainers do that?
I don't care about them, man. I just care about how I behave.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
And that's fine.
And just like everybody else, we're there primarily to help the pet. Now, I probably create the greatest dog trainer sin by offering up advice on the telephone without looking at the animal. Just because, I kind of feel like it's like a cat abscess, when you work in the animal hospital. You've seen thousands of cat abscesses. You see a swelling, this cat goes in and out, it's not neutered. You know what you got going on there. It's an abscess. And there's so much stuff in our business that it just, you can get it. They're telling you on the phone, basically, where they messed it up.
Right.
So all you can or not, tell them how to straighten it out a little bit. And maybe it'll be enough and maybe it won't. I mean, if you want to go to the store and do it, I mean, my concern with a lot of the group stuff at the stores is that the space allotted for those classes is so small
Oh, that's
When I'm in
horrible.
there sometimes shopping and I see somebody in there and there's a big dog and a really little dog in the same tiny space, and somebody's got the dog on a leash and it's like really wants to get at the little guy who's hiding behind its mother's legs, and the trainer's saying, say yes, say yes. And I'm like, oh my, so what's going on in here? So, I would
Yes, you can eat the dog. Got it.
Oh my God. I mean, I'm like, yes, I would like it to be a good social experience.
Sure.
But I'm not quite sure it always works out. And it's like he said, sometimes they're like this and sometimes they're like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think you do get to a point in terms of time, study, money and time spent for yourself, what it costs you to be who you are and all that. And then the geography of where you live and all that kind of stuff. And I think we decide for ourselves if it's worth leaving the house and going to work for a case. If somebody says to me, look, I got a 4-year-old male Akita, he ate the neighbor. Can you come over? I'm like, not so much. No, I don't think so. Hence, by the way, what you guys are doing, which is bringing some online consultation opportunities to dog trainers, which I happen to think is fantastic. I'm looking to jump right in on this because I feel like I can get some face-to-face stuff with people and not get the dog hair on me. You know what I mean? I can get there. I'm not going to get spit on by a dog. I'm not going to get knocked over. I'm not going to have to do heel exercises, and my knees aren't going to hurt for days. I can actually work this stuff out. By doing this format, I think it is the future of dog training a little bit. I mean, you got to get out there, and some stuff really requires, showing them, and they're just never happy enough. My clients never seem to get happy. I try to say you got to be happy. The dog knows when you're happy. And they try to make believe. And I'm like, dogs know when you make believe. You can't do that. You have to be really happy. Mm-hmm. And I'm trying to talk to some man who works in the city and in some financial thing. And I'm like, you got to get happy. And they're like, oh, good girl. What a good girl. And I'm like, no, not, hey, what a good girl. And my wife is always standing next to me, cracking up like, he ain't going to do that. I'm like, he's going to do it. He's going to do it because this is what is necessary. You got to show a little bit. Right. So, look, I charge a lot of money. I have a really good time. I charge a lot of money. I don't see as many cases as I probably would if I didn't charge a lot of money. Mm-hmm. If I got people who can't afford it, I don't know how much free stuff I do. I usually do free stuff, honestly, for vet techs. I go into animal hospitals. I don't charge anybody, stuff like that. If somebody really doesn't have the money, I would try to work out seeing them at their animal hospital rather than go to their house. It's a way where I don't have to charge them maybe, or charge them just a little bit if the vet wants some money for using the exam room. I mean, you can negotiate this stuff, I think, a little bit. I mean, you got to wiggle. You just got to wiggle, I mean, geez, I'm still around. The amount of money I charge has been the same amount for a very long time, but it's always been kind of a lot. So I've never been cheap, I guess. And my boss used to say, people look for the guy who charges the most. So
sure, of course.
I love this guy.
Yeah. Well, you're worth what you're paid for. You're people. That's not what I mean. That's not what I meant to say. I meant to say that people tend to think that the person who gets the most money is worth the most. That's where I was trying to go with that.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I said it wrong, but I knew what I meant. Yeah,
and obviously not always true, but
well, no, of course not. Yeah.
It's a psychological thing. It's like if you go to a furniture store and you see, let's say they were to play games with you, and they take one table, they price out at $10, and they price out another one at $100. You think the $100 one is better quality, just assuming they both look more or less the same. But maybe the $10 one is better. But perception is one thing. So you're going to buy the $100 table. Like, I don't want this piece of crap $10 table to fall apart on me. Just like us. You're going to hire some dog trainer to charge $20 an hour. You're like, even if the person is willing to do it, you're like, this person can't be that great. I'd rather call this person. It's like $75 an hour, and meanwhile the other person could be better or as good.
Mm-hmm.
So I think perception is a lot of things.
Are you going to eat generic cornflakes? I want to see Kellogg's on that box. I'm just if that's a plug, call it a plug. But I mean, what I mean? That's I can't always be all about that, but I've seen some really nasty cornflakes that were.
Well, yeah.
But the strange thing is you could, talk about the pricing and justifying price, whereas you go to the vet, they're going medically to get the dog treated. Yeah, they might say, oh, it's expensive, it's crazy, this, that, and the other. But assuming they like the people and they see that the dog is getting better, they're willing to spend out $500,000, whether they have the money or not. They'll spend it. Whereas they try to justify it behaviorally wise, what could be just as bad of a case, they can't justify that. I could see medically if it's something that's got to be treated right away, otherwise the dog's going to die or something. That's one thing. But behavioral, if we could get to the dogs and fix them, they may not have to go on the Prozac and the this and the that, so.
It's a good point. It's a very good point. And I think that might be a place to leave it for today. What I'd like to say is that it seems to me that the general consensus was that that as long as you guys continue doing what you're doing and you try and pass that on to others, that the future of dog training looks pretty bright. Does anybody disagree with what I just said there?
I'm concerned about the future of dog training.
Okay. Okay.
Talk about that another time, I guess.
Well, we can talk about that next time, because that's really what I would like to talk about next time. I'd like to talk in particular about the future of dog trainers. And I hope, folks, you'll all join us next time for our next session.
Can I just say something real quick, Joel?
Yeah, I guess so. Go ahead.
I just found this I think it's very touching and wonderful that dog trainers, okay, Jeff says we're just dog trainers, but most of us we care about the dogs. We have to care about the people some kind of way, because they are the ones that will be taking care of their dog that we're trying to help. And I just think, it's a passion thing and it's a love, and we all have it, and that's beautiful. And I find it a good thing to hear for going into 2020, because that's who we are and that's what we're about.
And that seems like a good place to stop today. So again, trainers, I'd like to thank you all for being here. I'd like to thank you all for watching, and I hope you'll watch our next episode when we'll continue this discussion. And we'll see you next time. Thanks a lot now. Bye-bye.
So long, everybody.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.